I wouldn't fight anymore. Although it was a fair fight that I had, that I got thrown out of the band for, because Moon came for me with a tambourine. And that sounds very like, all right, that's like being hit by the Salvation Army. No, it wasn't quite like that. He came at me with the bells of the tambourine.
The Who recently fired its longtime drummer Zach Starkey. A lot of things have happened ever since, from Starkey being rehired, fired again, and asked to lie that he'd quit, to an explanation from Pete Townsend and comments by Starkey's father, Ringo Starr. While many accuse Roger Daltrey of being in the wrong, the singer defiantly maintains his innocence. Speaking to the Sunday Times, Daltrey gave his viewpoint of the Royal Albert Hall incident, stating he'd tried to warn Starkey about his loudness. He said, "The sound is controlled by a guy on the side, and we had so much sub-bass on the sound of the drums that I couldn't pitch. I was pointing to the bass drum and screaming at Starkey because it was like flying a plane without seeing the horizon. So when Zach thought I was having a go at him, I wasn't. That's all that happened." Daltrey then opened You Commented about the ensuing debacle, which saw him attacked by the Who fans and labeled as the villain in this story. He added, "It was kind of a character assassination, and it was incredibly upsetting. Pete and I retained the right to be the Who. Everyone else is a session player." Roger Daltrey had a close relationship with Keith Moon. However, they would have tension as well. During an interview, Roger Daltrey recalled a heated encounter with Keith Moon.
And that's what was happening. And you've got to remember, the singer never sees the band. All he ever does is feel. And when that happens, you really feel it, because you have to go with it, because you can't fight it. But you know that it's right, and because you can't phrase it properly. You have to. It's clumsy, and it sure became clumsy before I threw the amphetamines down the toilet. And then we just came to the agreement that I wouldn't fight anymore. Although it was a fair fight that I had, that I got thrown out of the band for, because Moon came for me with a tambourine. And that sounds very like, all right, that's like being hit by the Salvation Army. No, it wasn't quite like that. He came at me with the bells of the tambourine, slashing, which, if it had caught me in the face or across the eyes, it would have blinded me. It was not funny. So I did lay into him, and I laid into him quite heavy, but I think he deserved it, to be honest with you. Anyway, after a few weeks of them doing shows without me, and audiences dropping off quite rapidly, they asked to have a meeting with me to come back. And I was very adamant that I would only go back if they came to the agreement that they wouldn't take drugs before a show. What they did in their own time is their business.
So what are your thoughts on this story? Let us know in the comments, and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.